Hey everybody, it's me Stacey, licensed designer for Sizzix, Jacquard, brand ambassador for Royal Talons, and owner of Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com. Hey everybody, welcome to In the Studio with Stacey. A bonus week. Who knew? Apparently not me. I thought last week was our last Tuesday in September. There's 5 Tuesdays in September. I did not even look at the calendar. So I was thinking last week was the last class that we had for our In the Studio with Stacey using Fine Tec, Pearlescent, iridescent, metallic watercolors. Oh no, today is the last class. So if you're joining me for the first time, hey, I'm Stacey and I am the owner of Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com, but also a brand ambassador for Royal Talons. And we do an In the Studio with Stacey class every Tuesday, and each month I pick one type of product, and that is the product we use every single Tuesday in that month, so that by the time we're done, well, this week you get 5 weeks with Fine Tec. By the time we're done, you've seen the product used multiple different ways, giving you option upon option upon option. Now, Royal Talons is a fine art company. In fact, one of the most prestigious fine art companies in the globe, in the world. They do paints and inks and oil pastels and oils and soft pastels and watercolors. They are a globally recognized company, and the name used to be Talons, but they were given the distinction of royal by the Queen herself. The company is located in Apeldoorn, which is close to Amsterdam, and has been around since 1899. Now, for us paper crafters, that's a really long time. I mean, I don't think scrapbooking and paper crafting really came into a thing until maybe the late 1995, 1996, somewhere maybe in there, maybe a little earlier, but not too much earlier. So to have a company be around since 1899, that is wow. And that really does tell a testament to who they are and what they do. What In the Studio with Stacey classes do is we take fine art product and we take paper crafting product and we put them together and hopefully make magic happen. My job as the owner of Scrapbooking Made Simple and as a brand ambassador and a licensed designer is really to teach. That's my job, is to teach and show you how products, even fine art products, can elevate, and they don't have to be scary, not at all. So if this is the first time joining, I recommend going back month after month. There is a playlist on the Scrapbooking Made Simple YouTube channel for In the Studio with Stacey. We started these classes in January using Ecoline brush tip markers, and we have progressed every month since then. You can go back and watch all of the classes and see how we have incorporated things that are completely out of our norm, like soft pastels or oil pastels or gouache. What's gouache? I now know a lot about gouache, and you're gonna love it if you use vellum. You're gonna absolutely love gouache. You can go back and watch all of those classes. So today really is the last In the Studio with Stacey class for Fine Tec, and I treated myself. Mr. SMS doesn't know yet, but he doesn't know, he doesn't need to know. I opened up a new set for me of Fine Tec. I didn't have this set, and I thought, ooh, it's a bonus week. So it hasn't even had water in it yet. Now, what are Fine Tec watercolors? Well, they're very dreamy. I will say that they are on the higher end of water. I mean, well, first off, they're a fine art medium. So that's just to start with. They are a fine art medium. They are actually made by a company called Tec, which is in Germany and has been around longer than Royal Talons. I think Tec's been around since what, like 1879, 1872, 1872, I think is what it is. So Draw Tech has been hand filling these pans of these iridescent, pearlescent, metallic watercolors, well, for well over 100 years. They are a little bit pricey. They are a little bit more expensive than what you would typically see for a pearlescent watercolor. But there's a reason why. We're talking about the best that money can buy, hands down, no questions. They are not made out of China. They are fabulous. And once you own them, you will use them and you will last. They will last. The quality of the product is so good that you need just a teeny itty bitty bit to make magic happen. So I did open myself, so now I have 5 sets of Fine Tec, and I can't wait to get this wet and show you. Now the sets do come where you can just pop the pans right out. So if you need to replace just a single pan, you can, absolutely. If you want to build your own sets, eventually SMS will have them all open stock online and you can build your own set. What I like is that every color that you see in any of the sets is replaceable with just that one color if you need to. Really handy. As I said, the pans are hand filled and you know that they're Fine Tec. If you see the kind of the rectangular pan and see that waviness in those pans, that's because they're hand poured. There are other products out there that if you search Fine Tec, it will include Fine Tec in the name of the product. It is not the same. They come in a circle pan, and I think that they have maybe an emblem or something depressed into the pan. If you see a circle pan, they may be a beautiful product and you may love them every bit as much as you love Fine Tec. Just know it is not Fine Tec, even though it says it in the description. There's only one Fine Tec and this is it. And the pans are hand filled and they're in that rectangular shape. So what do these do? Well, they're not your typical watercolor. They are filled with mica. Like if you think watercolor, so we have Van Gogh watercolors, which are beautiful, and they make gold and silver and copper, and they make interference colors, and they are lovely, but they are definitely more transparent when you put them down. When you put these down, you have to water them down significantly to get them to be kind of a transparent color. They are more opaque, but they move into each other like a dream. So today being a 5th class that I didn't know I was doing until I'm like, oh, look, there's one more Tuesday. I think we're just gonna play today. And if it's okay with you, we're gonna have the battle between butterflies. The battle between butterflies. I'm gonna do 2 different things and we're gonna decide, well, they're different. They're totally different. So we don't have to decide which one we like better because we can like them both equally because they are completely different. And I am going to play with this pan to see what I think I am. So I'm gonna tilt down for today. I'm gonna get started. We've got a lot to do, just a fun day today playing. And if you want to learn more about Fine Tec watercolors, pearlescent, iridescent, metallic fine colors, well, you have 4 previous weeks to look at, plus this week's Saturday with Stacey YouTube class, which is full length, technique based, and commercial free. That is a whole class on watercolor, Fine Tec watercolors, and you can watch that as well. So I'm going to tilt down and let's get playing because this is like a bonus week, right? Who knew? Apparently the calendar, but not me. All right, down we go. So let me zoom on. Well, let me put on my glasses so I can see what I'm doing first. And let's zoom on in. I am my own camera person. And for those of you who have never heard of Fine Tec before, who are like, well, I don't understand why it's different. So first off, the colors are all either pearlescent or metallic or iridescent. There are no just plain colors. They all have a shine to them. They have a mica to them, and they are beautiful. I think the best way to kind of just reiterate and explain it is that a basic watercolor, so our Van Gogh watercolor, which again, fine art quality product, certainly not basic, but a standard watercolor is made up of little dots of our pigments, little dots of our pigments. And in between those dots is the binder that holds it all together, which is typically gum arabic. Then on the other side of this is gouache. Gouache is also a watercolor. It is these little elements, only in a much bigger size. Now, of course, you're never going to see this with the unaided eye. Absolutely not. But these little dots for our standard watercolor now are ground to a much larger size for gouache. And what that means is that gouache is an opaque watercolor. These two things are exactly the same. What makes them different is the size of the pigment in the material. So gouache is a opaque watercolor. Can you make gouache into a basic watercolor? Yes, you just add oodles and oodles of water. Fine Tec is a combination of the two. It's not, the particles are not quite the size of gouache. They're not as big, but they're not as small as a standard watercolor like our Van Gogh watercolor. They're kind of in between. And then all the space in between all of these little dots is your gum arabic binder. So regular watercolor, our Van Gogh fine art watercolors, our gouache, and then our Fine Tec is kind of a hybrid. It's also a three-dimensional paint. So if you have a flat piece of paper just like this, a one-dimensional paint, let's say we painted this with our acrylics, our Amsterdam acrylics, just a plain black or blue Amsterdam acrylic. That's a flat color. It's a solid color. The light hits it and refracts back, and that's what you get. You just get that one refraction, that one shade. It's the same all the way through. However, with a 2D type of material, it's going to hit the paper, you're going to paint the paper the same way, but when the light refracts off of it, it gives you a little bit more dimension. Metallics tend to be that way, a little bit more dimension because the light is hitting that paper and you're getting depth and perception between the refractions. Fine Tec surface is like a three-dimensional, where this is still one piece of paper, still one sheet of paper, not three sheets, but this time the light is hitting the top of the pearlescence or the iridescence. It's hitting the next layer of it. It's hitting the bottom layer of it. So when it comes back at you, it is super shiny, super wow. That intensity, that opacity is super strong, and it is more of a 3D color. So even though we're going to use the same sheet of paper, it's all three sheets are flat. Depending on the product you are using, it's either a one-dimensional like an acrylic, a two-dimensional like a standard metallic, maybe like our Van Gogh watercolors, or a three-dimensional where the light is really reaching in and refracting back beautiful optics to you. That's what makes these pretty darn special. And we're gonna play with them in the Battle of the Butterflies today. And I thought I would bring back the butterflies that we used when we've used these for, did we use them for gouache? I think we used them when we painted gouache. And this is a silicone mold of some darling butterflies. This is a Katie Sue product. This is food safe, and in fact that's what it's made for. It's really made for cake decorating, but gosh, we can do so much more with it than that. I'm going to start with this because these take a little time to dry. I do have some over here already drying, so I know I've got at least some to work with. I'm going to be using Hardy Soft black air dry clay. You can absolutely use white air dry clay in here, but for the biggest impact, Fine Tec looks amazing against dark colors. So I've got my 3 butterflies, and I'm going to take a little bit of Crisco. Yes, Crisco, the stuff you make your pie crust with, because Crisco is going to let me just put a little bit in there, and it helps pop it out when I need to pop it out. And then I take a little bit of my Hardy Soft clay and I pull it out. And this is air dry clay, so once you're done using it, you absolutely want to seal it up. And I'm going to make some little balls. And I'm going to stick that in there. I don't want to put too much in to begin with. It's easier if you start with just little balls and kind of roll them into almost like you're playing with Play-Doh. Kids love this. It's absolutely safe for kids to get into and play with. And the Fine Tec, same thing. It's absolutely safe for the kids to get into and play with. If you want to do some molds, gosh, I have one for Christmas. It's over here. It's beautiful. But I haven't decided when I'm going to use it yet. But maybe I'll show it to you. So I'm just going to build my butterfly. I'm just going to start by adding little pieces in. If you take a big piece and try to shove it in there, you're going to miss the detail. You really got to just give it in, move it around, spread it out. And keep adding little pieces. Little is better. Smaller little balls to start with is better. It lets you keep the shape of the mold that you're doing. Now, me and these antennas, we tend to have a conversation, and I'm usually at the losing end of that conversation. But I'm going to give them a whirl and see what I get. See, I even started with too much on this one. Pull all that off. Oh, that's good. I started with way too much on that one. That's good. I got it in there. Them little antennas. Less is more. Okay, I think I'm good. Now, this is about the wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You gotta wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. The Crisco that we put in there is letting it release super easy. And once you think you've got it, bam. Now, it doesn't look like much now, but when we're done with it, it sure will. I'm gonna let it sit over here and dry with the rest of them. I've got a few more over there, and then I'm ready to go. Do I have to add more Crisco? Maybe after 2 or 3, I would recommend maybe adding a little bit more Crisco in there. And you just put it in with your finger. I've got a 5-pound jar of it. That's all Mr. SMS could find at the store. It's like this 5-pound jar. And again, less is more. Start with your little ball and start pushing it in. And that lets you keep the shape and build the thickness. I love these butterflies. And I thought, because it's a bonus week, we'll just play a little bit. I always make it into a little bit of a ball and then push it down. And you're pushing it into all the nooks and crannies. Think about that. Well, if you're old enough like I am, you remember the English muffin commercial where you want to get it all the nooks and crannies. And you don't want too much because you just end up pulling it off anyway. And you can spread it around with your fingers. And you really push it in there well so it gets all of that detail. That's almost too much. I always like to start with less. You can always add more, but if you get it all the way around where you can't even see the shape of your butterfly anymore, then you gotta clean it up before you pull it out. It's kind of like if you clean as you cook. Now, this is coming from a girl who really doesn't cook, but let me tell you, if you clean as you cook, then when you're all done cooking, you don't have as big of a mess. My husband, if he hears me say that, is going to put a pot in my hand and say, "Here, honey, you cook." We all have our strengths in life. Well, I don't think I'm a bad cook. I'm just not a good cook. So let's take a little bit to see if I can get those antennas done. And less is more. See, I have to pull off the extra. Tiny little ball. Let's get it in there. All right, I'm going to do my wiggle, 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 and let's see what we get. Now, if I don't like what I get, I just like Play-Doh, I just mush it up in my hands, and we start all over again. I want to give a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, that antenna. Let's see if I can make these combined. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, nope, I lost one of the antenna. Yeah. We'll just put it back. All right, so butterfly number 2, and it's still coming off. All right, well, no, I need to put it on. Come on. Nope. All right, well, we're gonna, oh, see now the whole little, all right, we're gonna go without it. Now you know my videos are unedited, unscripted. I'm gonna put this one off to the side and let it dry. So we've got 2 of these going on right now, and I've got plenty over here to play with. So while those are drying, we're gonna move to a stamp set. Indigo blue. Now I ordered this to go with the Saturday with Stacey YouTube class that we just did, but it didn't land in time. It did not. So I'm gonna use it today, and this is our second butterfly. So the battle of the butterflies is the molds or the stamp. Now, I'm going to be using watercolor paper today because we are definitely going to get the paper super wet, really wet. So the Van Gogh watercolor paper, this is a 25 pack. They're actually postcards, and it has a little place for a postcard on the back. It's super cute, but they're discontinued. This pack retails for around $24 for 25 pieces. We have it on clearance for $9.99 because it's discontinued and it has to go. But I'm going to use it today with my butterfly. It is beautiful, beautiful watercolor paper. And what makes paper so wonderful? Well, watercolor paper is all about not just the quality and the weight, but the sizing that is put into paper. So sizing doesn't refer to the size of the paper. That's what we think when we're in paper crafting. Somebody asks you, what's the size of the paper? Oh, it's 4x6, or it's 5x7, or it's an A2. In fine art, sizing talks about a product that is added to the pulp or laid on top that controls the amount of moisture or how quickly moisture seeps into the paper. So maybe you've done some misting and some spraying, and you've put some color on some cardstock, and it's gone, it's just right in. It didn't sit on top at all. That means that paper has no sizing at all, none whatsoever. Or maybe you've played with some cardstock where the water has gone in, or the paint you're using has gone in kind of quick, but not like this, but not like this either. The more sizing paper has, the more control you have over how fast the water or the paint absorbs in, how fast the liquid absorbs in. So having good sizing in your paper usually requires you to have a better brand of paper. And Van Gogh is part of the Royal Talens family. Now, like I said, unfortunately, these are discontinued, and when we're done with them, we're sold out, we're sold out. But for now, we still have them, so I put them on clearance because they gotta go. I'm gonna bring over my stamp positioner from Sizzix, and I'm gonna put down my paper. Now this has got a sheet of sticky grid on it. It comes with the stamp positioner, which is also a stencil alignment tool. In fact, it's called the stencil and stamp tool. The lid, it doesn't even pop off, it just comes in and out. It's so nice. And when you're using it as a stencil positioner for layering stencils or any kind of stencils, you don't need the lid. You only need the lid when you are doing your stamping. The sticky grid comes with the stencil and stamp tool. It allows your paper to be held in place. So it holds your paper, and then when you pull your paper up, it doesn't make a mess. You can see I've stamped on mine, I've inked on mine. Eventually you will have to replace it, and it just comes up super easy. What would cause you to need to replace your sticky grid? Well, if you're like me and you're touching it like this, the oils from your hands will make it non-sticky. If you get embossing powder all over it, it will make it non-sticky, or glitter. Anything that would make a sticker not sticky is going to make this not sticky. Now they sell them in packs of 5, and I think that 5 sheets of this would last you probably a full year, if not longer. It really takes a long time to get through sticky grid. It just keeps going. Now our platform, our lid, has 2 sides. One that has a grid, one that doesn't. I'm not 100% sure why they gridded this. I'm sure that there is a reason why they did this. Put the grid on. I haven't really asked. But the side that you want against your stamp is that smooth side. And that stamp is just going to cling right to it. Yes, it's a red rubber stamp. And yes, you can use clear stamps. You don't have to flip your sides depending on what kind of stamp you're using. No matter what, it's always that smooth side down against. And then I am ready to ink up my stamp. Now we're gonna be doing embossing today, so I'm gonna use my Wow Embossing Medium. Please know, yours is not gonna come this shade. It's a really lovely, like yellowy, vanilla shade, but as you use it, it's going to turn. That doesn't mean that it's not working anymore. It just means you got stuff all over it. And well, I'm a maker, so I tend to get stuff all over it. So I'm going to ink it up, and this embossing medium is going to allow me to add embossing powder. Embossing powder is a plastic substrate. So it is a ground plastic that when heated to the right temperature will melt and become a solid. I think that looks good. So I can kind of see my image. It's a watermark image. Any place I think I might need more, I can just lay it right back down and it's going to line right back up. I think that looks okay. I'm going to do another one. Just trying to line it up by sight. That looks good. So let me re-ink it with my embossing medium, which is clear. So it's not that you're going to see this image come out. In fact, you might only be able to see the watermarked image, and I'm hoping I've got enough on there. But if not, it's only paper. I will do it again. A nice press. In fact, I've got my little, there we go, that's better. Okay, that one looks good too. So now that I've got two ready to go, let's take my stamp off and move this out of the way. All right, so I've got two of my watercolor cardstock ready to go to add my embossing powder. And this time we're going to add white on one and we're going to add copper on the other. So I am using opaque bright white superfine, and you need superfine. This is a ground plastic, and the finer the grind, the more detail it will hold on your stamped image. So the finer the grind, the more detail you will have of your stamped image. I got a few smudges in there from my fingers. So I'm going to take one of my little brushes and I'm just going to clean this up just a little bit and get some of this embossing powder where it doesn't belong off. So you can take any kind of a paintbrush . Just get some of that off. All right, so I'm going to let that be, and I'm going to put my white away. So I dumped it all right back into my little jar, and now let's grab the other, and I'm going to grab a copper, and we're going to see what we get. So now I am using a copper, super fine. Oh, that was such a better stamp. I bet this is the first one where I didn't have my hands all over it. So I don't even need to clean this one up at all. Now you may be looking at this going, oh, that's just not very attractive. That brown, you can barely even see it. Why would I want to do that? Well, if you haven't seen embossing powder before, and maybe if you are more in the fine art realm of our world, that might be something you haven't seen before. Maybe you've never seen what happens when you heat set an embossing powder. Because right now, if I take my finger and wipe it right across, it just goes right away. See if I can get this one a little bit better. I'm going to try and keep my fingers out of it. And I love my little tool that was made for me by my friend Polly, just so I get nice even pressure all over. Let's see if I add my white to that one. Keeping my fingers out of it. I start at the top and I try to let gravity do the work. Well, I do think I did better keeping my fingers out of this one. So, as I was saying, this is a plastic. So if I don't do something with it, if I don't heat set, it's going to wipe right away. I'm just going to take a little bit of this right off and a little bit of that right off. So I like this one better. So here's my example. If I don't heat set, that's what happens. An embossing medium is not a glue. It is a medium that stays wet long enough to allow you to drop your embossing powder and have it hold. So that's what happens if you don't heat set. Not what we're looking for. Let's grab our heat tool. And today I've got the Wow heat tool with me. And I'm going to do the white first. So I'm going to turn it on. Has 2 speeds. And I'm going to let it heat that plastic until it melts into a solid. And you can see it melting. All of a sudden, that dingy kind of grayish white butterfly becomes far more bright white. So I did half of it, so you can see bright white, not bright white, heat set, not heat set, melted, not melted, and I'm not going to do that because it would wipe right away. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now, when is it dry? It never is really dry. It cools because it was never really wet. It melted. It's a plastic. So as soon as your paper is cool to the touch, so is your embossing powder. It's not like it's a water that needs to dry. It's a plastic that needs to cool. And once it's cooled, it's done. And it's got a raised element to it. So there's the white. Let's do the copper and see what you think. Now the white just looks white. However, look at the dramatic difference between the embossing powder that has not yet been heat set and our beautiful copper heat set embossing powder. Look at the change. And once it's cool, it's good to go. I mean, that's dramatic, right? And you can see it change. Now let's say I get this far and I'm looking at it. Can you see that there's a dull spot right there? That means that I haven't done my heat set enough to turn it. I need to add more heat. I don't want to see any dull spots. I want to see that beautiful, oh, isn't that gorgeous? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I know it is. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with the copper one, and I'm going to play with my brand new set that I opened that Mr. SMS doesn't know about. Do I want to tape this down, or do I want to let it be? You know what, I'm gonna go without the tape. So I'm gonna play with my new Fine Tecs. And I am going to use a round brush, so one that's got a point onto it. I'm using Fusion brushes by Yasutomo. These are watercolor brushes. We sell them in the flats. We sell them in the rounds. And the rounds come with a bamboo holder, a traditional way of carrying and drying your watercolor brushes. And both sets easily fit in the holder. We don't use these for, let's say acrylics. No, these are meant to be used. Anything that you're using water with, this is your brush. Now, I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna add some water to all of these. And you know what? While I'm here, I'm gonna grab my yucky one out of the trash, because then I can see what colors these are before I paint. Ooh, I'm gonna use the back side of the one I showed you, my display of what not to do. And then I can see what color these are on my watercolor paper before I do anything. So let's go in here and okay, that's pretty. Kind of a silvery sea foam. See, can you see how metallic they are? This is on black paper and you can barely see the black paper coming through it. Here I've got a silvery, oh, holy smokes, artichokes. Again, look at that. This is just beautiful. A little goes a long way. You don't have to add too much water to make them work, and you're never gonna dig your paint out. This looks like maybe, well, let's let this one dry and see what we get on the purple. This blue is, oh my gosh. Sign me up. Oh my, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna play with this color. Oh my gosh. So we're getting there. And as they dry, they become even more. And this looks like maybe a two-tone or a flip-flop color. Oh yeah, this is a flip-flop color. So a flip-flop color means it's a color that when you look at it one way, it's one color, and when you look at it, it's another. It's kind of got a goldy green going on to it. That looks very flip-floppy. And my last one does too. Oh, maybe it's my last one that's a flip-floppy. Let's see. So here is that palette. And that palette is pretty magnificent. And I'm gonna play with it on my butterfly. So I'm gonna get some of it really wet. And water is my friend. I'm on watercolor paper. I'm using high-end watercolor ink. Oh, hockey brush. I'm gonna get the whole thing wet first. I'm gonna take my hockey brush. So this is a hockey brush. It is a brush that absorbs so much water. And I'm gonna get the whole thing wet because I can. I'm on watercolor paper. Watercolor paper likes water. I'm gonna get the whole thing wet. And then let's come back. And the reason I'm using my round brush is because I'm literally gonna like drop color. Meaning I'm just gonna go in there and kind of press it down, give a little drop, and let the water take it away and do the work. So I'm not even actually painting. I'm dropping in color. And the embossing is going to act like a resist. Okay, now let's take another color. And water is my friend. And now I'm going to drop this green and fill up some of my space. And I'm not painting. I'm just dabbing my color, and because I've got water there from my hockey brush, it is just filling in every place that has black. Wherever there's paper, So I actually am using more water than anything else, more water than the paint, more water than anything else. And maybe I want to drop some of that green into some of my lighter color down here. And I keep adding a little bit of water so that it has room to kind of run. All right, now let's go to our next color. Let's go to the blue. And I'm just dropping the blue right into that black that has got like little water bubbles on top of it because I added so much water from my Hake brush. But what that does is it allows my color to fill up and run. If I don't have enough water because it started to dry, I just dab in and add a little bit to the tip of my brush. This blue is crazy good. And I let my embossing act as a resist. And then my last color. Do I want to do the purple maybe? And I just touch everywhere I see black. I'm going to touch it into some of my blue too. Just let it fill in. And anywhere I see a little bit of black, I'm just going to grab my purple and go for it. And I'm letting those colors commingle together. And then we have to wait and see what we get. Put a little green at the bottom of my blues. And there's no right and there's no wrong. It's just water. Now I need to let it dry and see what we get. We won't know what it looks like until it's done. It needs to sit and it needs to dry. And as that water evaporates, because there's so much water going on here, as the water evaporates, the metallic comes up even more. So let's take one of my butterflies. I got a few of them here. And this time I'm going to switch to a flat brush because I want to hit the tops of my butterfly. So maybe I come in here and hit the whole thing with a little bit of my silver. Just look at that, just on its own. Look at the sheen. Look at the, I mean, the color is amazing. Now maybe we take a little bit of my blue. Maybe a little bit of my blue. And again, we won't know how fabulous it is until it's dry. And then maybe a little bit of my green. And then maybe we hit the whole thing with a little bit of yellow or gold. So I'm up here in my rainbow set. Just hit it. And then we need to let it dry. And as it dries, the iridescence will come up. So we're getting there with this one. Still wet, but you can see that beautiful sheen and shine coming up. Still wet. Now let's do this one, and this time I'm going to switch into my rainbow set. Or maybe I do another big one. Hit it with my yellow. And then maybe I come in with a little bit of orange. And then maybe I come in with a little bit of red. And I just let the paint do all the work. It adds all that beautiful shine to what you want a butterfly to be. Just a little bit of gold. And then we let it set. And as it dries, the metallic is going to come up. And maybe you want a little bit more red. Add it back in, make it stronger. They really come out absolutely just stunning. So this one is drying, and as it's drying, you're starting to see those colors kind of commingle and shine. And this one's drying, still a little wet at the bottom, and it's a little wet in the center. But you can see how beautiful it is. Now I might be able to take my heat tool and just quickly zap it and see if I can get it dry. It's a little better. But wow. So then it becomes I did this butterfly a little earlier and he's all dry. We've got that butterfly drying. We've got that butterfly drying. What makes our heart happy? And as this one has been drying, you see the shine come up, and as this one dries, the same thing will happen to where they end up being just like this one with oodles of bling and shine. So are we loving the mold butterflies? Or are we loving our beautiful stamped and colored butterflies? Now, I did this one a little earlier in the white, And this has now completely dried. And at some point, this one will be very much, oh, so you can see now that it's starting to dry. Wow, the outsides are almost completely dry. But are we all about the stamped and painted butterflies? Or are we the mold with the butterflies? Good thing is you don't have to choose. If you have Fine Tec, you've got it all. Once you've got Fine Tec, you've got it all. I can't stop myself. I added a little bit more gold. I just can't help myself. I just love the layering of the colors. So this really is the last week of Fine Tec. Honestly, truly, I think. And where color is, Fine Tec wants to be too. When you are looking for that metallic, pearlescent, iridescent watercolor. Fine art quality, and that'll be reflected in the price. But my gosh, what you get is pure joy. And I've done several techniques now, playing with Fine Tec in multiple different ways, so that you know it is by no means a one-trick pony. Yay! All right, you guys, so let me tilt up. My goodness gracious, they're beautiful. The Battle of the Butterflies. Still a little wet. I added a lot of water with that hockey brush. So Fine Tec, manufactured by Tech, distributed by Royal Talons. Only, Royal Talons is the sole distributor here in the United States. So now they sell it to lots of people. So you can find this at art store, absolutely. I don't know that you'll find Fine Tec necessarily in a typical paper crafting store, but you might. The mold is by Katie Sue. We've had that before. I'll add it back in, and then I'll add the stamp. It was supposed to be in for Saturday, but it just, oh, see, hello, beautiful. Holy smokes, artichokes. They're gorgeous. I'll add in the butterfly stamp as well. So you may find quite a bit of this at a fine art store or your paper crafting store. If not, shop local if you can, but if not, well then find your most favorite online small retailer. Look for a small independent online retailer. They need your support more than anybody else. And if you don't have one, well, Scrapbooking Made Simple would love to be that for you. So I'm Stacey. This is In the Studio with Stacey, where we combine fine art and paper crafting each and every Tuesday. We live chat during the premiere at 6 p.m. sunny California time. And well, next month is October, so a brand new month of product for the entire month of October. It is ink, it is acrylic, and I have plans for this. So if you've never played with liquid acrylic, with ink, it's dreamy. Stay tuned. We start next week, next Tuesday, first class. All right, you guys, I'll see you later. Thanks for being here. Next time I see you will be Thursday when we have our New For You event. And I'm trying to think of who's in our next New For You event. My brain is not calculating, but New For You, where we bring you the latest and greatest from your most favorite manufacturers, all value priced from the get-go. It also premieres 6 p.m. sunny California time, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we live chat during the premiere. Who is the New For You? Oh, it's Elizabeth Crafts. Hey! No, is it Elizabeth Crafts? Oh, I don't know right now who it is. My brain. Okay, I know Elizabeth Crafts is coming up. It could be. It might be. I think it is. I think it is Elizabeth Crafts. We'll have to wait and see. It'll be a surprise to all of us. All right, you guys, I'll see you later. Bye.